I'll vote for somebody else.
I'm going to keep my options open.
I'm losing confidence with each day.
All this is going to do is delay us. It's going to delay the certification of President Trump's election. It's going to delay the start of his first 100 days in office, which is the most important.
Friends, I'm reading the comments and seeing that you guys are having as much fun this week as I am because the Republican Party is in shambles. I haven't seen a team fall apart like this since the Falcons blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl.
You blew it!
And luckily for us, the fun continues because Trump has decided to endorse Speaker Johnson, despite many Republicans coming out and saying they're not going to support him anymore. Mind you, Speaker Johnson is on very thin ice. Here's a report from The Intelligencer from earlier this month. Mike Johnson's speakership has crashed and burned. The article goes into detail about how since the Republicans lost one seat in the House, they have a very, very slim majority, which means that if no Democrats vote for the speaker, Johnson can afford to lose only one Republican. This doesn't bode well for Mike Johnson, since many Republicans are not happy with the way that he's been running things.
Why are you not committed to Speaker Johnson as the next Speaker of the House?
Well, I'll tell you, Will, I look at people's track record, and unfortunately, we will not be able to deliver on President Trump's agenda, as the same happened in 2016, because it has to be done legislatively if we don't have Speaker with the courage, vision, and a plan. And if Speaker Johnson wants to be a speaker, then he needs to lay out that plan and commit to that plan, not like what he did last year. He committed on the House floor to have a fiscal commission, so we have planned for that ceiling increase, which President Trump is right about. We have no plan. He was afraid to put it on the floor. He was afraid to put budget on the floor. Except post office bill, we could not accomplish anything. So I can give him a chance, but I would like to hear from him how he's going to be delivering this agenda and what plan he has, and he hasn't been doing it.
And Representative Spartz isn't the only Republican that's upset with him.
Democrats are going to be united. We are not going to bail him out this time.
That puts Johnson in a tight spot. The next Congress will begin with 219 House Republicans and 215 House Democrats. Johnson needs 218 votes to keep his job. One congressman, Republican Thomas Massie, has said he won't be supporting Johnson. That means another defection could sink Johnson's prospects. Other congressmen, Andy Harris, Scott Perry, Troy Nehls, and Tim Burchett, for instance, are also on the fence.
But luckily for Mike Johnson, President Trump came in with his endorsement. Let's take a look at his endorsement, though, because it's not exactly the most glowing. As you can see here on Poop Social, Donald Trump went on a tirade about the party of common sense, lamenting about how people can pay for endorsements and spend money on campaigns and pay money to Beyonce and Oprah Winfrey and Reverend Al. Interesting, all black people. And at the very end of his morning rant, you can see the last couple sentences almost tacked on to the end here to try to hide it or something. Speaker Johnson is a good, hardworking, religious man. He will do the right thing and he will continue to win. Mike has my complete and total endorsement, MAGA. Doesn't exactly sound super confident to me since Mike couldn't even get his own post, but the gesture did not go unnoticed. Many Republicans responded with their own support of Mike Johnson.
The fact is that these folks are playing with fire, and if they think they're somehow going to get a more conservative speaker, they're kidding themselves. We can't get anything done unless we have a speaker, including certifying President Trump's election on January 6th. So to waste time over a nonsensical intramural food fight is a joke.
Johnson has responded to Trump's endorsement today, thanking him and saying that the American people demand and deserve that no time is wasted. Aisha.
And Congressman Andy Biggs just told us on the show that he's not sure that he's a yes or a no, so it's an uphill battle.
In fact, some representatives doubled down. Here's Representative Spartz again, this time on Twitter. I understand why President Trump is endorsing Speaker Johnson, as he did Speaker Ryan, which is definitely important. However, we still need to get assurances that Speaker Johnson won't sell us out to the swamp. President Trump will be able to save America only if we have a speaker with courage, vision, and a plan. Also, public commitment to the American people, how he will deliver President Trump's agenda to drain the swamp. And she's not the only representative to stay on the anti-Mike Johnson side after Trump has endorsed him. Here's Representative Thomas Massie from Kentucky. I respect and support President Trump, but his endorsement of Mike Johnson is going to work out about as well as his endorsement of Speaker Ryan Paul. We've seen Johnson partner with the Democrats to send money to Ukraine, authorize spying on Americans, and blow up the budget. Oh look, and here's President Musk to put in his 2 cents. You might be right, but let's see how it goes. Way to give your genius of the world expertise there, Elon Musk. He just loves showing that he has absolutely no idea how US politics actually work. So it seems like Mike Johnson's speakership role might be on shaky ground, and that is a huge problem for Trump.
He can only lose 1 vote. I mean, Mike Johnson, this is going to be, he's between a rock and a hard place, and so is the president if he can't get the speaker back.
Yeah, so the math, as Chad Pergram talks about, is 220 to 215. Right, a very narrow majority, at least on paper, but with some of these absences, right, with some of these vacancies, 3 of them, that gets your number down to 217. So it's 217 to 215. There's no margin for error whatsoever. So I understand some people making noises about keeping their options open. What option are we talking about? Is there any viable option other than Speaker Johnson? And if there's going to be a long, protracted issue here, not only could there be a complication, as we just heard, involving the January 6th certification, there could be a real threat to President-elect and then President Trump's agenda once he takes office. And that is something that he's going to be, I think, very adamant about. He wants this drama behind him by the time he takes the oath of office.
Absolutely, because he wants day 1 to start getting work done, and he can't get work done on day 1 if they don't get this taken care of. Well, and it's a tough time because you're talking about mid-March. That's going to be within the first 100 days of President Trump's presidency, and he's got big things he wants to do. So that does give Democrats some leverage in trying to renegotiate that at that time, because, look, we have majorities in the House and the Senate, but they're not large, and they're not filibuster-proof in the Senate as well. So that's going to give Democrats some leverage and create some complications. I'll say I've worked on Capitol Hill when John Boehner was there, and also for a little bit when Paul Ryan. There's always going to be grievances against the Speaker. But when we saw when Kevin McCarthy fought for his life with those 15 rounds before getting the Speaker's gavel in 2023, there were very specific policy demands that were taking place, capping discretionary spending, and a motion to vacate, making it easier to remove the Speaker. I've not heard those specific demands with Speaker Johnson here. I think there are legitimate concerns with him, particularly the way that he handled the CR and sort of not being forthcoming with his fellow Republicans. You know, I had some congressmen joked that I didn't even know I was getting a raise originally, right? So that's not good. You want to have open communication and transparency. But, we're about to find out. So if you're a betting person, Guy, what do you think?
In or out? I think you bet on Johnson because there is no alternative that really makes any sense. And I think a big difference between sort of that drawn-out mess that we saw with Kevin McCarthy and this time was that was during the Biden administration, right? So we had divided government, a Democratic president. This time around, the president will be, or incoming president will be Donald Trump, and he will not be some shrinking violet on the sidelines, right? He's going to want, as we've been talking about, a at least somewhat functional House of Representatives.
With a razor-thin lead in the House, a majority in the Senate, and an incoming Republican president, for some reason, the House Republicans are like the living embodiment of this meme. They don't even have any idea who would replace him. The Republicans are just so dysfunctional they can't help but shoot themselves in the foot. All we can hope for now is that the American people are so fed up with their bullshit come midterms that we finally kick out all these losers and get this country back on track. If you like the content that we're making, make sure to like the video and make sure you're subscribed. I'm Tony Hinderman with Really American. I'll see you next time.